This year's MVP race has been dominated in the discussions by players like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But someone who has slowly been climbing up the ranks as of late and who has probably been playing like a top 5 player in the league is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Since the year 2022 has started, he's been absolutely going crazy. And honestly, at the current moment, I think he has to be at the top of the MVP race. That has honestly led me to make this video where I will be discussing Joel Embiid's current case for the 2022 MVP. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to help me to grow 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that outro. To start the video off, I'm going to be talking about the positives for Joel Embiid's case, and by far the thing that is definitely on his side is his individual stats. Embiid is putting up stats that are more impressive than nearly anyone in the league right now that is in the MVP race. The only guy who I think has better stats than Embiid, like by far right now, or not even by far, but like clearly has better stats, is Nikola Jokic. Because at the making of this video, Embiid is putting up 29 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 38% from 3. I'm not gonna lie, those numbers are very impressive. I'd say he has a top 5 stat line in the league right now, and the only guy in the MVP race, as I said, who's putting up more impressive numbers than him clearly is Nikola Jokic, because Jokic is putting up 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists on better efficiency. And he's like the leader in every advanced stat that you could think of. But when you put those numbers against a guy like LeBron, Steph, KD, or Giannis, his numbers are on the level of all of those guys, and only one candidate is above him, and that one candidate like is barely above 500. So his numbers are really up in his case right now. The next thing that is in Embiid's favor is his team record. But I'm not gonna lie, right now the Sixers are like the 10th best team in the NBA record wise, but at the current moment, for being honest, he wouldn't be able to win the MVP with a record like this. But luckily for Embiid, he's in the Eastern Conference, which is very weak at the top. Or maybe I shouldn't have said weak, but they're very close together at the top. Because even though Philadelphia is the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, they're only 2 games away from being the 1st seed. And they're only like a game away from being the 3rd seed. So Embiid could easily secure a top 3 seed in the East, which will really make his case way stronger. If the 76ers could just stay healthy and he could continue to play at the level he has been, he could easily be the front runner for MVP again, because a lot of the other candidates who have better records than him are not putting up better stats, and they just have superior help surrounding them. Because Steph Curry's not putting up better stats, Kevin Durant's going to be out for like a month, which is definitely going to ruin his stock. Also, Kyrie's coming back, so it's going to look like he has a super team again. I'm not going to lie, at the current moment, the other guy who's like competing with Embiid in the race like seriously, and he doesn't have like a major hindrance that's holding him back, is Giannis. But if I'm being honest, I predict the Bucks to like go out and get the 1st seed more than I would the 76ers, because the Bucks are just the better team. But that doesn't mean Embiid has like no chance to get the 1st seed. And also another thing that should be impressive in his favor is the fact that Embiid's roster definitely has less help than the other candidates. Because if you can lead like your untalented team to more wins than a team that has talent, like if Embiid gets a better record than the Bucks or the Nets, that's very impressive for him, and it will definitely help his case. Because Steph Curry with the Warriors has more help than Joel does. KD with the Nets, if Kyrie and Harden are still playing, have more help than the 76ers. The Bucks definitely have more like better players on the Sixers outside of their star player. The Lakers, I'm not gonna lie, are kind of like the same. I think the Lakers actually have less help than the 76ers, but that's it. Also, Jokic has less help than Embiid does, but at the same time, Jokic is barely winning with it. Not saying it's his fault, he's playing like probably the best player in the league, but yet you have to win if you want to win the MVP. I'm not gonna lie, the 76ers probably have more help than Marant does on the Grizzlies, but this is definitely something that can be in Embiid's case, because it's not like he's playing on a super team at all. He doesn't even have other all-star players surrounding him. Also, to win MVP, you're gonna have the media on your side, and you're gonna have some type of story to your MVP year. Literally every MVP year has had like a great story, maybe besides last year, but every year you have to have a great story, unless you're like just absolutely amazing. And I think Embiid has one, because remember last season, Embiid was far and away the MVP frontrunner, but then he got injured and he missed way too much games to be considered an MVP. But now this season he's actually playing healthy, and if he could just stay healthy the whole year and keeps playing at this crazy high of a level and his team starts to win, I honestly think people will view him as the MVP, because his MVP case was injured, so it could be like a revenge tour or whatever, or like makeup for like him not winning the MVP last season because of injury. And another thing is, because even going to last season, people didn't really think Joel was like a top 10 player, but he still had a crazy amount of buzz around his name for the MVP award. And I actually think that means a lot, because when you look at a guy like Marant, who I think should honestly be top 3 in the MVP race, he has absolutely no buzz for him in the MVP race, even though he should. So the fact that we've seen Embiid get a lot of buzz, even though he wasn't even like considered a superstar at that point, definitely is a like good thing for him, because I think now everyone definitely thinks he's a superstar. And quickly, we just have to talk about how Joel Embiid has doing recently and as of late, because in the year 2022, he's arguably been the best player in the league, because ever since 2022, he's been averaging 35 points, 12 rebounds, shooting 54% from the field. That's 12 games, which is a pretty significant sample size. He also had like a 50-point game and 2 40-point games in that stretch. Embiid has just been on an absolute tear as of late, and I don't feel like anyone is talking about it. Talk about the negatives with Joel Embiid's case. The main negative is the fact that the Sixers aren't even a top 7 team right now in the league record wise. If Embiid wants to win the MVP, he's definitely gonna have to get his team to be at least a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, and even that's kind of pushing it. I'm not gonna lie, they probably have to be the 1st seed, especially when like you look at the individual records and stuff. But if he continues to play like the way he's been doing the whole season for the rest of the year, and he can avoid injuries, that's a big thing. He cannot get injured or his case is absolutely done. But if the 76ers could also finally make a Ben Simmons trade, that would actually improve their roster. I don't think they will. Apparently they want to get James Harden or something, but I do think they can make a push for the 1st seed, because Brooklyn's dealing with injuries, Chicago's been dealing with injuries all year, but I think they're healthy now. The Miami Heat are actually just getting healthy right now, and the Bucks are getting healthy, so that's not a great sign. But I'm not gonna lie, at the current moment, if I had to predict what team is gonna make that push for the number 1 seed, I'm taking the Bucks and the Heat over the 76ers. But as I said, that doesn't mean the 76ers have no chance. So the only negative is like the fear of Embiid getting injured, because he gets injured more than any other superstar in the league, and 76ers just have to straight up win more games. To conclude the video, I think Embiid has a really strong case for the MVP award, especially with the way he's been playing. But at the current moment, I don't think you can win the MVP when you look at his team record. But if he can get a top 2 seed in the East while putting up the same stats he has right now, I think he can be put up above like a lot of other candidates. To be honest, at the current moment, he's probably a top 5 guy in the race. I think he's over Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant's going to be injured for too much this season. I think he's definitely over him. Steph Curry has been absolutely terrible as of late, and I don't think an MVP should be able to be this bad for 2 months in a row. I only put him above Nikola Jokic because of team record, because Embiid's team record is significantly better than Jokic's. But I won't lie, Jokic is putting up the most impressive stats in the league. And the only guys who I have above Joel Embiid right now in the MVP race is Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has a better like team record, and I think he's putting up a little bit better stats, and he's just like, I don't know. There might be an argument for Embiid over Giannis, but I think Giannis is the guy who's gonna win the MVP. He's number 1. And second, I actually have Morant, which is really different from most people. But I feel like Morant is way too slept on, because he's putting up MVP level numbers, and he's doing it on a team where he doesn't have a crazy amount of help, and he's surprising everyone, and they're actually winning enough games for him to be the MVP. So Morant second, and right now at the current moment, I have Joel Embiid 3rd in the MVP race. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think Joel Embiid is going to win the MVP. Drop a like on this video, that would my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal of 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video, as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro.